will increase your efficiency 20% if you learn to do the tough things first, the ones you don't want to do.
Ray Zinn now imparts his management philosophy in Tough Things First. In this series, Zinn covers it all, from the essence of human happiness.
If you're going to make it a consistent practice of working Saturdays just because you think you've got to work 80 hours a week to be successful, you're just flat out wrong.
To the downside of venture capital.
People said, well, don't sweat the small things. Well, I guarantee if you don't sweat the small things, the big things are going to become a mess.
And the essence of entrepreneurial discipline.
Don't want to wait until you jump off the cliff to grab a parachute.
Now here's Ray Zinn, Silicon Valley's longest-serving CEO. I'm Rob Artigo, back for the Tough Things First podcast. You probably remember me as the broadcast journalist at KGO 810 in San Francisco Bay Area. I am also a writer. Here with me is Ray Zinn, the longest-serving CEO in Silicon Valley history. Hello, Ray.
Hello there, Rob. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, and this is a special edition of the Tough Things First podcast. If you're listening, you can just check out toughthingsfirst.com and find this podcast. And right next to the intro, you can see a little link that says watch now or see the video, something like that. And then you can check us out on video. Well, Ray, when I was a reporter in Reno, I got to know a guy named Kenny Gwinn. He was the governor of Nevada. He was also a very wealthy businessman. And I was talking to him, and I told him that I was looking at a possible job offer in Fresno. And he did this I remember this vividly. He put his arm on my shoulder and he said, if it's a step up, take it. And I didn't take the job because it was really a step sideways. You know, Fresno to Reno is really kind of a step sideways kind of possibly, at least in radio, it's a step sideways. So I didn't take it, and I've always, appreciated that advice because it kept me on course for success in radio. So, Ray, for starters, let me just ask you, when do we know when it's the right time to make a good career move?
Well, there are three reasons why we change jobs. One is, as you talked about, a step up, to get a promotion, to get a more pay, or some advancement reason. The second is because you don't like the job, you don't like the company, you don't like your boss. There's a don't like problem. That's number two. And number three is you want to relocate. In other words, you want to stay, instead of living in Fresno or Sacramento, you want to live in Chicago. So those are the three reasons. The advancement, you don't like it. It's a don't like situation where you don't like the boss, company. Maybe you don't like where you live either. So, but anyway, then the third, of course, is that you want to change locations. Sometimes it's because you want to be closer to family, or because it's educationally, it's more advantageous to be at a certain area because of the schools you want to attend. So those are the three reasons why you want to change.
I would imagine you want to relocate because of the weather sometimes. I mean, here in California, it's pretty hot. Let's bring in Zinn of Zinn 3. It's one of your books. It's part of this Zinn of Zinn 3 is the third book in your series, Zinn of Zinn, which has a bunch of nice short writings in it, and it's an entire book that covers a bunch of different topics, but a lot of wisdom in there. And check out the bottom of page 25. Excuse me. It says changing jobs can be both a benefit and a hindrance. If you're considering changing employers, consider the following. And there's 2 points here on the next page. Point 1, don't be a chain job changer. Changing jobs every couple of years is viewed negatively. And also number 2, don't make a move unless the total compensation is at least 20% more than more than you are currently making. It's easy for me to say. Ray, so let's check out number 1 here. Tell me about being a chain job changer, and you as an employer and a person who has hired a lot of people in your lifetime. Tell us how that negatively impacts a person's resume and their potential employment with you.
Well, looking at it from the employer's point of view, it's expensive to train a person. Also, there's an adjustment period where they have to get adjusted to the new job, the new area. And that's a distraction. So if you're a chain job changer, then that means that you're going to be an expensive employee because the company's going to have to spend a lot of time and money training. They say, don't in war, they don't kill your enemy, wound them, because it takes two to carry them off the field. So a chain job changer is like a wounded soldier. He takes people to help bring him up on board, to train him to get accustomed to the new software, the new, just everything's new. And so a chain job changer, I know it's like Peter Piper picked to pick a pickle pepper, whatever.
Yeah, right.
It's like that. It's hard to say chain job changer, but it's an expensive uh, uh, thing for an employer, and it also probably more importantly, it shows you're not loyal. Companies like loyal employees, and so loyalty is an extremely important attribute for employees. We had the lowest turnover in our industry at Micrel, the company that I founded and ran for 37 years. And the reason we were so efficient was because we hired steady employees, people who are solid, people who are not chain job changers. So anyway, that's the key. The key is, show your loyalty, show that you're willing to work with your supervisor or the company, and because there'll be good times, there'll be bad times. And so we like loyal employees.
Well, number two here is a financial question, and you put a number on it. You say 20%. You say make sure that if you're moving for more money, moving jobs for more money, make sure that it's 20% more than you're currently making.
Yes, because again, you're moving for a small amount of money, unless of course you don't like your boss, or it's that don't like problem, don't like where you live. Moving for a small amount of money it doesn't look good to an employer because it does go back to what I talked about earlier about your loyalty. So just moving to be moving straight across for the same amount of money is a warning shot to the employer that you could be a problem employee. So if you're going to move, make sure you move for quite a bit more money, at least 20%, because again, you're probably not going to get a raise at your new company for at least a year, and unless you timed it right when you left your old company, you could be a year or 2 years before you get another wage increase. And so don't move for just 5 or 10%. Make it worthwhile, and that's why I put that 20% figure in there, because that's a more reasonable number if you're going to consider changing jobs. And there's a risk in changing jobs for you as an individual, as an employee, because you may not be able to perform it at that level, at what you need to get a bigger pay increase. And so you want to make sure that you have enough pay change to make it worthwhile for yourself.
And there are other considerations. I mean, like you said, if you're going to move to relocate for whatever reason, if you just want to, maybe you want to live in Austin, or you want to live, somewhere in Montana or something like that, you can really have to look at the expense of making that move and how much that'll affect what the number actually pencils out to be. Because if it's 20% more and you end up paying that into just moving expenses, then that's a balance.
Yeah, you have state taxes to worry about. Some states charge more income tax than other states, and so you got to make sure you take that into consideration. The cost of housing, you got to make sure you take that into consideration, and just cost of living in general. And so if you're going from, let's say, California to Montana, The cost of living is quite a bit less in Montana. So therefore, you could take a flat pay increase because you're going to make it up in the cost of living. So, or if you're moving from Montana to California, then you got to look at a significant cost of living increase. It's like 15-20% higher in California than it is in Montana. So you got to make sure that you do cover that change in cost of living.
Well, we'll wrap it up by talking about this. I just heard the other day, or read the other day, that quiet quitting 2.0 is coming back. And obviously, if this means that people have decided to change jobs just to change jobs, and I imagine that what you have heard about quiet quitting the first time didn't bode well for employees, and it probably won't the next time.
Exactly. So, loyalty, dependability, responsibility, accountability, all those things are good attributes to have as an employee. And of course, if I'm talking to employers, make sure the people you hire have those attributes of responsibility, accountability, dependability, loyalty, all those things that make a good employee.
Thanks, Ray. This is a special edition of the Tough Things First podcast, and we really appreciate you joining the conversation with us here at toughthingsfirst.com. Your questions and comments are always welcome at the website. You can follow Ray Zinn on Twitter, also known as X, obviously, Facebook, LinkedIn, and of course, Ray's books are available. Tough Things First, and as you've seen and heard today, you saw Zinn of Zinn 3, but we also have Zinn of Zinn 1 and 2. You won't regret picking up those books. Thank you, Ray, for another great podcast.
Thanks, Rob.
You've been listening to Tough Things First, candid talk with Silicon Valley's longest-serving CEO, Ray Zinn. Drop by the contact page at toughthingsfirst.com for more about the book, more podcasts, and links to Ray's Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn pages to keep up with Ray Zinn's wisdom daily.